Whether you're a casual or well-rounded enthusiast, catch up with news, reviews, and more from around the circles of pop culture with us. This is Centaku Media, the axis of anime, gaming, and other otaku interests. Hello everyone, this is your host Sanjo of the Centaku Media podcast. This is episode 27 of the Centaku Media Journal, or season 3, episode 3 of said series, and you are listening to our bi-weekly series where we talk about anime, gaming, and other news from the world of the subcultures of interest, or rather relevant subcultures. I hope I said that properly, but I usually end up winging. I don't really have a script. The only script I have is to talk about the news that we're about to talk about, so I usually just I guess what they call ad-lib or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, we are going to talk about some news. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. I usually waste the first 7 minutes talking about news relating to Centaku Media. But only thing I have to say is that I hope you all tune in to our Twitch streams. And as I record this is our break week. And during the last week of the month, we usually take a break to do something behind the scenes, whether it is to write a few articles to publish throughout the upcoming month, or just to improve anything else behind the scenes, like the podcast or just Twitch streams or anything else. But one big thing I'm going to try pushing moving forward, unless something weird happens, is that we do have a Discord server, so we call it the Centaku Media Discord server. It's the official Discord server for everything relating to anime, gaming, and everything in between. So if that is your move, please join along, and you can hit us up by going to centakumedia.com/discord, and that will give you an invite to join the server. So we do have some new channels to talk about. We actually introduced this channel back in December, but now we are pushing it, and we have it called The new server that we have is called Show and Tell, and as the name suggests, is that anything that you've purchased recently, whether it's from a convention, online from Etsy or Amazon purchase, you name it, you share it in our channel. Of course, keep it PG-13, so don't go off showing your latest a late night programming collection, but definitely, like, if you have a new game, a physical game that you've purchased, please show it to us. But one of the most recent posts I made on there was of my purchase of the Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringer soundtrack. And I say this as it's been a couple of days since the Endwalker soundtrack came out, but don't worry, I got like at least maybe 9 more soundtracks to buy after this most recent one. So yes, be sure to check it out. And also we do have some channels rather, for those that want to know a little bit more about K-culture or J-culture, like the latest K-pop releases, or anything that, probably don't know about anywhere else, so we just bring it to you. So that's the beauty of Centaku Media, is that we just share everything in one little pocket. So some big news that we've gotten. I know there's a lot of big news going on, but this one, as of recent, and this is actually a recent series that's been pushed like crazy in the last few years, and it's the Nier gaming series. And for those that are familiar with Nier, it is, I think, originally based on Drakengard back in the day, like in the early 2000s, right when Squaresoft changed their name to Square-Enix, if I believe. I think it's related to that. But I am not too familiar with the game, but I do know the only experience I've gotten out of Nier is the Automata raid series in Final Fantasy XIV. So actually, as I say this, I finished the first 2 raids, but I haven't done the last one, and I heard the last one was intense. So I might record myself playing it, or rather, record myself as Nakaichi, our VTuber mascot of Centaku Media. Just, doing it, I guess, from the beginning to end, just so you can see just exactly what I mean. But I know the first one in particular was intense and very AoE centric, and I'm like, no, please don't. But miraculously, it wasn't that bad to me. I think I died like twice during it, but there was like a lot of people that died like several times. But of course, to be to have to die that many times, you have to be lucky to, you know, play with the healer that's just willing to put up with your deaths, because that's what they were trained to do. But if it's otherwise, then it's a really sad situation that they have to get mad at you for dying so many times. It's just a game, so you gotta remember that. But anyway, so in regards to Nier Automata, or Automata, depending on how you say it, but let's just say for the sake of the conversation, Autonoma. Yeah, there we go, Autonoma. It's Automata, rather. Shoot, I don't know. So Nier Automata, I guess that's how you can pronounce it. I'm probably gonna butcher it throughout the whole duration of this, but this show, or this game rather, is getting an anime show. That's what I was trying to get at. So there is an anime adaptation of Nier Automata. There we go. So Square-Enix announced this week that the anime adaptation is on the way, but they didn't provide any other details as to where it will be created or who it will be created by. But apparently Aniplex did boost the news on their social media accounts, but it's really hard to tell whether they're involved. But they said that the teaser, I think it's just one teaser image, shows off the main protagonist 2B, which is the number 2 and just the letter B. I know that's kind of a thing in lore in the game itself, where their character's name after a number and the letter. And then she also has a pod that she's accompanied by in the teaser. And people are already impressed by the animation style, which, looking from afar, it kind of goes back to the days of the Metal Gear Solid 2 art. Apparently, this news article was part of the 5th anniversary celebration for the release of Nier Automata. And it's been 5 years since the story of 2B, A2, and 9S first launched. And of course, it's the, in the past 5 years, it's the, like, out of the games in the past 5 years, you got Final Fantasy 15, Persona 5, and Nier Automata is going to be, it's one of those big games. And I guess Kingdom Hearts 3, you got to give them credit too, considering how long it's been. So that's pretty much it. And also, I know there's a whole bunch of other Nier stuff going on. I think there's like a Final Fantasy 14 tie-in event with the Nier mobile game. There's that, and apparently there's a game called Babylon's Fall, and apparently they're going to get content from Nier Automata as well. So that's all I got for that's all we got so far as this anime adaptation of Automata. So, of course, we will talk about it when we get more news about it, and for those that are into Nier, congratulations. I have yet to play Nier Automata, but it is going to be on my backlog to play someday. One of these days, as soon as I am done with who knows what. But I do have a backlog of games that is actually why we streaming on Twitch, which is our main night on Thursdays and Friday nights. Right now we're playing Breath of the Wild, and after that we are, for reals this time, going to play Yakuza 0, but after that I don't even know what we're going to play because it usually changes. So, like, even Yakuza 0 was going to be the game to play after I was done with Persona 5, but now that's where we're playing Breath of the Wild, but we'll get to Nier eventually. So, we're going to go ahead and move on. This is still anime news. This is for those that are out of the loop. So, yeah, we're still talking about anime news. Figured Nier was a good way to start off the episode, because in my quest to find the anime news stories to talk about, this was the only one that stuck out, and I actually built up a good backlog of stories to talk about. Even the ones from last year, I couldn't squeeze into our best of episode of 2021 episode, which is episode 0. So, hope that satisfied your cravings for anime news, but we will have some more to talk about. Anything that didn't make it in this episode, we'll talk about in the next episode. But moving on to anime news, so we do have one other show that I am actually personally excited about. But although I could just go ahead and just read the source material, not the manga, but it's actually a visual novel. And this is a show that I was so hyped up about last year, and it was a recommendation in a from a group that unfortunately no longer exists. It was a group on Twitter called the Free Anime Alliance, which Centaku Media was a part of. And if any of you that were a part of that group listening, shout out to y'all. Hope y'all doing all right. But yes, Free Anime Alliance, they unfortunately disbanded last fall. But it was a show that was recommended in their Discord channel, and they even had a viewing party at the time. I couldn't watch it, but the plot of it really interests me, so I ended up watching it in my own time. But the show in particular is called Classroom of the Elite. So Classroom of the Elite is, I guess, if you want a comparison, it's kind of like a reverse comparison. It's kind of like Squid Game, but without the death. Kind of like Battle Royale without the death, or any of those things. So basically, just to give you an idea what it is, and actually this is a show we did a channel surfing article on our blog, centakumedia.com. It's about a student who is enrolled in this school who apparently they go by a point system, and they have 4 different classes, where I think C or D is the lowest and A is the highest, but you are given points that you can use throughout the school system, their campus, so you can use it to buy like toiletries, food, or just stupid crap. But the thing is, you have to use them sparingly, otherwise you'll get screwed. So this is the case for one of the students for this class in particular. They basically get, I think, 100,000 yen worth of points. So they, of course, buy a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't even put any effort into their study. So come that next period, or I guess the next week or the month or so, people are expecting to get more points, but no, they do not get any more points. And the teacher gives them a rude awakening, saying that, well, because y'all slacked off, you're not getting anything. So, good luck with trying to hold on to those points in the end of the semester. So yes, that's where everything gets real. So I totally recommend it. But it is based on a light novel, and it is there's an anime adaptation, obviously, but it is getting a second season finally, and it's been speculated for about 4 or 5 years now on whether, ever since the first series ended, on whether it was getting another anime adaptation. So that is been official. It was 2017 when 2017 when the first season came. But yes, it has been greenlit as of recording for a second season. And the novel series, just to go back to where it all started, it was published since May of 2015 by Kadokawa's light novel imprint MF Bunko J. And it says the series has printed more than 6 million copies, including digital editions. And the anime was produced by Lerche, Lerche. Of course, it's a 12-episode anime series, and it aired from July to September 2017, and it was based on the novel's first 3 volumes. So, the details was revealed, or rather, no, it will be revealed on March 6, 2022 on Kadokawa's official anime YouTube channel from 2000 hours Japan Standard Time or 300 hours, or 3 a.m. I guess Pacific Time on March 6th. If I got my 24-hour time correctly. But anyway, it also mentions that the anime's 2 main voice actors, Shoya Chiba, who plays the main character Kiyotaka Ayanokoji, and Yurika Kubo, who plays Kikyo Kushida, are scheduled to join the series. So of course they'll be reprising their roles in the series. And for those that are curious as to what the show's about, again, you can refer to, if you were short on time, you can refer to our channel surfing article that will be in the show notes, or you can go to Crunchyroll and watch the first episode. Of course, it's free. I think the first episode is free for all users, but normally they usually have some shows hidden behind their subscription service, which is not bad. I totally recommend it. Also, and it's an effort to support the industry, so definitely be sure to check it out through legal means. our last story here. This is actually an old story that is from the end of October of 2021, and it's about Kadokawa. Actually, we were just talking about Kadokawa anyway in that last story, and this was I don't know if it went through or not, but it's kind of big considering that this is actually a huge company, not Kadokawa, but the company in question that is eyeing Kadokawa is actually the Chinese internet conglomerate Tencent. So as you know, like I said, when I mean by big, I mean yeah, they have a stake in almost everything. Like they're behind that game Pokemon Unite. They do have a stake in Blizzard Entertainment, I believe, and pretty much almost everything you can think of if you look closely. But this was again back on this October 29th of 2021. They announced that day that that Tencent Holdings will acquire a 6.86% stake in Kadokawa for 30 billion yen, or roughly about 264 million US dollars. And they will become the company's third largest shareholder. Hong Kong-based Tencent subsidiary Sixjoy will buy 4.86 million shares for 6,170 yen, or about $54 per share, which is about a 2.3% premium to its closing price. The transaction is expected to take place between November 15th and the 26th. That was last year, just for those that refresher. Again, this is an old story that I wanted to talk about during the break. But Kadokawa stated that it will enter an agreement with Tencent Group for the anime business to quote unquote further promote the company's IP-based global media mix, and to quote form a capital alliance with Tencent Group. The company will invest the entire proceeds in content by March 2024. This includes securing editors and producers. And also, just to skim some of these stories, apparently earlier in 2021, they formed a capital alliance with CyberAgent Incorporated and Sony to strengthen its game and animation businesses. The company's goals are to strengthen the global media mix strategy, to expand Kadokawa's IP worldwide, and to cooperate with CyberAgent and Sony for mutual exploration of each other's business expertise and other strengths. Kadokawa will issue CyberAgent and Sony 1,422,475 shares each, which will give each company 1.93% ownership. And just to go through more, excuse me, let's go through some more stories just to end it off. They mentioned that Platinum Games that announced back in January of 2020 that it received a capital tie with Tencent. And Square-Enix and Tencent announced back in August of 2018 that they agreed to form a strategic partnership. The companies are establishing joint ventures, jointly developing AAA titles based on new IP, and licensing existing IP to expand content services both in the Chinese market and globally. So, yes, when I mean by big, yes, they are big. So, it's like almost every day, or at least once a month, it seems like Tencent is trying to get a share of something, very profitable. Of course, it's going to be anime and gaming, or gaming in particular, but they're going to try to strengthen any market that is full of otaku, whether it's in China, Japan, and the US, or any other country where anime and stuff like that is profitable. But yeah, so that is Tencent for you, and that also concludes our anime news. And I know that kind of is a good tie-in. I probably should have had a Nier story last, first talk about Classroom Elite and Nier and then Tencent. But again, that's a good segue to our gaming news segment. To kick off our gaming news segment, we are going to talk about a new game that was just announced. Well, okay, it is a new game, but it's actually a sequel of a sequel, but also in the same universe of a franchise that recently just concluded their 25th anniversary, or so they say. So, for those that haven't gotten a hint, but the game in question or the series is Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, or just Shin Megami Tensei as a whole. That came first, right? I'm still, learning about my SMT universe and all that stuff, with Persona 5 being the first game in the series I've ever played. But I am looking forward to playing other games in the series, including Persona 4 Golden, which I do have in my backlog. But the game in particular that was announced is called Soul Hackers, and it's called Soul Hackers 2 in particular. And apparently it's based on the original game, Soul Hackers, where it was based on another series. Which, shoot, I thought I had it here. I might have to put an addendum in the show notes because I don't have it pulled up right now. But it was a game, Soul Hackers. Apparently, the base game was originally released for the Sega Saturn, and the game itself, I think the first game in the series was released for the Saturn, I believe, but I believe it got re-released for modern consoles in particular. But Soul Hackers 2 in particular, the biggest thing about it is that it features a female protagonist by the name of Ringo, and that's a huge deal considering Atlus apparently has a track record of being a little flaky when it comes to female representation. Although there's been only I think 2 games between SMT and Persona that has female protagonists, main leading protagonists, that is. But Alice also has some other issues too, and I think Catherine also was full of issues too, as far as LGBTQ representation as well. But apparently, having with the female protagonist, in the game is kind of pretty much are starting to pay attention to Atlus and saying, "Are you guys starting to learn your lesson now?" So it's interesting to see. So we're kind of pretty much excited about it, and I know. If anything, I think Atlus also needs to focus on re-releasing the first games in the series, so that way they can catch everyone up. Kind of like with Final Fantasy, because going back to the Final Fantasy 7 days, since this is the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy 7, people, at the time when 7 came out, that was pretty much the only big Final Fantasy game, people recognized. But we had games before that where they weren't even numbered correctly. So basically, we had 4, 5, and 6, which was 1, 2, and 3 here. And then, all because of Final Fantasy 7, they said, you know what, let's release more here. And then they kept releasing and releasing, and then 10 was a huge game changer. And then now, here we are. We're pretty much drowning in Final Fantasy re-releases and remakes. And actually, as I say this, they recently released Final Fantasy 6 Pixel Remaster, which I do plan on playing soon. And actually, that would be an excuse to revisit Final Fantasy 6, a game I haven't gotten a chance to finish in completion, so please don't hurt me. So yes, you can see how big my backlog is. But yes, so maybe that's their plan, is to eventually try to do this a la Final Fantasy. It's taken Square 20 years to do all this, so Atlus is catching up, as you can see. So, but the biggest deal about that was the biggest deal about the female protagonist. But one of the other announcements about this game is that it's going to have a English and Japanese dub available after they refueled the game. But of course, the trailer only had Japanese voice acting, but of course it will be voiceover too. And apparently the subtitles will be available in English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish per Atlus official Twitter account. And apparently, for those that pre-order the game, you'll get a Persona 5 themed DLC pack. And also, apparently, there's a limited edition that includes a Ihokun figure, or apparently it's the mascot Jack Frost, but apparently with this, Jack Frost is dressed up in an outfit like the heroine Ringo. So, for those that are curious as to when those come out, it will come to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and the PC on August 25th, and that's in Japan, but the next day it will be released in Europe and North America this year. So, look forward to it, as they say in the business. So that's it for Soul Hackers, but also we're gonna go ahead. I got two other news articles here. Well, one is going to be kind of sad. One is going to be kind of interesting. It's kind of a port. I don't know if it's like a port or just a different version compared to the original. But the sad news next story is actually going to be sad. So, if you haven't heard yet, you have 1 year from this March to download any important games that you've been eyeing for a very long time that is on the Virtual Console for the 3DS and Wii U. So, Nintendo announced that it will shut down the online e-store for the Wii U and 3DS platforms in late March of 2023. So, users will still be able to play online, download software updates, and re-download products they have purchased on the store. They will no longer be able to make new purchases or download free demos after the service shuts down in 2023. And also, credit card purchases will be disabled on May 23rd of this year, and prepaid eShop purchases will no longer be supported on August 29th. So that's important to remember. So again, if you have a few moments to make your purchases before, if you have a credit card, that is, if you plan on making purchases with a credit card, you have until May, but you gotta hurry up before, basically stock up on eShop cards to use for the Wii U and 3DS. And reading this will make you all feel old. So the 3DS was originally launched in February 2011, and the 3DS XL variant launched in 2012, where the 2DS released in 2013, which was actually interesting, that it was released in 2016 in Japan. And also they said that the 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS, and the XL variant launched in Japan in 2014 and North America in 2015, and then the new Nintendo 2DS XL launched in July of 2017. And Nintendo just straight up stopped making the handheld platform in 2020. And you gotta remember that after the Switch came out and had a strong launch, Nintendo said that they weren't gonna ignore the 3DS, but here we are now. So, wah. So, also the Wii U is 10 years old, as it was released in 2012, but didn't do very well due to its predecessors. And yes, I personally skipped on the Wii and Wii U era. So, when you think about it, I think Nintendo's actually making an effort to re-release all the old games that were released on the Wii U, including Skyward Sword. That's actually another Zelda game I'm eyeing, or was it Twilight Princess? But either one of those Zelda games, they were released on the Wii during the Wii era, and I missed out on them, so I'm really looking forward to playing at least both games again that were released during a time where I didn't care a whole lot about that era. So yes, be sure to make your purchases as soon as you can before they shut it down completely. So that is it for that news, but we got one more gaming news, and this is a game that I've actually played on and off before, and it's actually kind of fun. And I will disclose this, that due to the fact I do not have patience for mobile games, but this is like one of the very few games I actually paid attention to. And I even played it on Twitch at one time, and oh my gosh, I can't never forget the night I played it, because I got rated by 20 viewers. So that was actually a lot of fun, and apparently I was playing the game wrong. And I don't think things have changed with this release that is on the Switch, and that game in particular is called Puzzle and Dragons. So Gung Ho Online Entertainment announced that it had released a version of its Puzzles and Dragons game for the Switch, which was on February 19th in the West, and on February 20th in Japan. So it's out now by the time you hear this episode. And just to get an idea what Puzzle and Dragons is about, casual puzzles meet big adventures, whether alone or with friends. Play on your TV or handheld, and with touch controls. So the definite puzzle RPG. Embark on an epic quest, harnessing the power of appealing monsters and clever puzzle play. Featuring 3 modes jam-packed with orb-matching fun: Quest, PvP, and Custom. So the original game was released for iOS and Android devices in 2012 in Japan, and it came out in November that year as well. And there's actually a Puzzles and Dragons Gold, or Puzzledora Gold, released for the Switch in January 2020, but I think it was Japan only from what it sounds like. And there is an anime series based on the game that was released in 2018, so that's something you gotta think about. Think about checking out at some point. But that is it for gaming news. So I know it's going to be a shorter episode unless there's something here that I missed and it actually takes up like the last 25 minutes of the show. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to entertainment and interest news. To kick off our entertainment and interest news segment, we are going to talk about an artist that you've probably haven't heard of in ages, and I totally forgot about this artist as well until I read the article. But Kari Pamyu, I hope I pronounced that right. She is going to be performing in the U.S. at the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, which will be held this April, and it is actually still happening. I had to check before I talked about it because Coachella was postponed in 2020 and in 2021 due to the event that we're not going to talk about because it's just all over the place for obvious reasons. But the record label Nippon Columbia announced that Kaoru Pama will perform at the event on April 16th and on the 23rd. And the festival itself will take place from April 15th through 17th and from April 22nd and 24th. And she was originally slated to perform at the festival in April 2020. And Vocaloid icon Hatsune Miku was originally scheduled to perform at the festival in 2020, but apparently it says that according to the Press Enterprise newspaper, more than 60% of the lineup for Coachella 2020 will perform at this year's festival. And she made her, for those that, just a refresher, she made her debut in 2011 with her album Moshi Moshi Harajuku. She has performed theme songs for anime such as Shinchan, as well as several films in the Shinchan universe and Ninjala. So, congratulations to her on embarking on this tour. Coachella, I think it's normally in Texas or something like that, but I know I've had like an interest in it, but I couldn't, I guess I would only be interested in only a handful of artists, and Epic High is actually going to be performing there the first day of the event, and I think Joji is performing like on the third day. I don't know how I went to their website and it's kind of like all over the place. I'm like, you got like a whole list of artists, and it's like very overwhelming. And yeah, so yeah, Epic High in particular though, I'm actually personally going to go see them in March. I'm really excited, and yes, Epic High is performing. They are going to embark on a North American tour, and I think I mentioned this last season, but yes, they are going to go on tour, and Atlanta is one of their stops, which is on March 27th. Yes, March 27th. I forgot because it's the end of February, and usually February and March have matching dates past except for past the 20th day. So yes, they will be performing at the Tabernacle in Atlanta on March 27th, and I do have tickets, and I had to remind myself I have tickets because considering the circumstances in the past 2 years, it's just kind of, this can't be happening like, in a good way, rather, that we can go to concerts again, we can go to cons again. Just with, little, added bonus, of course, in a lot of events, I guess until the foreseeable future will be vaccine required. You have to have a proof of vaccine, of course. Not people happy about it, but there has to be a reason why they had to do this. Of course, you don't have to have proof of vaccine. As long as you provide a negative test result, you're able to partake in a lot of these events, but otherwise, it's kind of the way it is, so that we won't have another risky situation. I mean, it's risky as it is, but vaccines, not going to get into the whole science and stuff because I know we're going all day. That's a story for another day, but it's just kind of the way it is now. But thankfully, a lot of the cases are going down. It's like we're pretty much back to where we are last summer. as of recording this, and I hope it stays that way, and hopefully we won't have any more surprise variants of COVID on the way. So hopefully, that is the end of it here. So, speaking of the pandemic, this is actually since we're on the topic of this, I might as well go ahead and bump this up, and then the next story I have will be saved for last. So this is going back to a story I think I meant to talk about, but I think it was after our break. It was during our break, so I couldn't talk about it. But this is interesting. Um, so of course I was talking about how we had cons again with the bonus of it having a requirement of showing a proof of vaccination or negative test results. So apparently, one of the biggest cons, of course, AWA was a big. It started with what's that one con in Atlanta, held in Metro Atlanta, Dragon Con. So Dragon Con was the first big con held, in the post pre-pandemic era, whatever you want to call it. So that was like the first big con held. No issues reported there. And then we had Otakon the month before. No issues there. And of course, Otakon, I'm glad they had it, because apparently if they hadn't had it, there would have been no more Otakon due to financial issues. And then we had AWA, which I personally attended, and I had a lot of fun. But the next biggest con following AWA was Anime NYC. So, apparently this was around the time that Omicron became the prominent variant in the country. And this was like back late October, early November. No, it's like the week before Thanksgiving. It was November 19th to the 21st. So, it was reported then that someone had, even though they were vaccinated, the person that attended apparently was tested positive for COVID-19. And let's go back on it. Just to start from the beginning, the event took place at the Javits Center in New York City, November 19th to the 21st of 2021. And of course, the event required proof of vaccination and mask usage for all participants, or those under 12 needed proof of a negative test. The rules for Anime NYC only required one vaccination, and the convention's website stated you can attend immediately after your first dose. Organizers estimated that 53,000 attendees came to the convention. There was the person in question was a Minnesota man who tested positive for the Omicron variant. It was on November 24th, which was roughly, let's say, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 days after he attended the event. I think it was from the whole weekend until the end. And then he didn't feel well 5 days in. And the Washington Post newspaper reported on December 3rd that the Minnesota man had met up with about 35 friends at the convention, and about, quote unquote, about half of them had tested positive for COVID-19. The CDC director Rochelle Walensky held a press briefing on December 7th, 2021 regarding the investigation of the situation. The CDC at the time contacted 35,000 of the 53,000 people who attended the event. So now here we are, come February 20th of 2022. So apparently it's been concluded, according to the New York Times, that the study released on the same day by the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, evidence of widespread transmission of COVID-19 during Anime NYC was not identified. The study relied on test results data from 4,560 Anime NYC attendees from health department surveillance systems, as well as online surveys sent out to attendees asking about their test results, symptoms, and activities during the convention. The study found that 2.6% of those 4,560 attendees tested positive for COVID-19. According to the New York Times, attendees of the Anime NYC convention did not have a higher rate of infection of COVID-19 than the general population of New York City around the same time. Additionally, the majority of samples that tested positive and were genetically sequenced were of the Delta variant. The report additionally found that convention goers who became infected with COVID were more likely to have gone to bars, nightclubs, and karaoke clubs. The new CDC study credited the organizers of the event for putting prevention precautions in place, such as fitting the convention center with HEPA filters, which have been shown to efficiently remove coronavirus particles from the air. The New York Times reported that a combination of good air filtration, widespread vaccination, and indoor masking, in fact, helped prevent the anime convention in November from becoming a super spreader event. So when I said aha, that has to be somewhere, outside of the convention itself where it happened, because this person apparently had met up about 35 of his friends, and that's actually a huge number for one person. Apparently he gets around, obviously, for him to have a whole bunch of friends like that, and I can't even keep count of the people that I've, ran into at cons. At least it's a good maybe 10, so I think 10 was a good number, including the people that you're with, but chances are all the people you want to meet up to, you actually never meet up with them. And then, later on you'll find out, oh, wait, you're there? So out of this 35 people and anyone else outside of that group, if they go into, bars or anything, definitely that's a good place to get caught. And during my experience at AWA, I never went anywhere. I think the only place we went to was actually inside of the Cobb Galleria Center. It's called Big Chow Grill, and it's kind of our annual get together there. So it's either that or the karaoke bar called Do Re Mi Karaoke, which is in Duluth, Georgia. It's in Gwinnett County, Georgia. We usually go to there, but this time we decided to keep it within con perimeters. And usually the place is, the majority of the people at Big Chow Grill are con goers, but also it is important to note that during this weekend of AWA, they had the whole Braves, the World Series deal going on up the road from where AWA is held. So, of course, their parking was tight, unfortunately, this time around. So a lot of people that wanted to park just for AWA, they had to fight to the death to get a good spot. And of course, anyone that was going to come for baseball, they had to park elsewhere. So, it's definitely some other things to consider. So I think, there were some Braves fans there. And of course, it probably it's worth mentioning that they weren't wearing masks, but our group in particular, pretty much anyone associated with AWA, where we were, they were all congoers and they had their mask on, but I think maybe there was maybe 3 or 4 people that were associated with the Braves. I don't know. There's some things to think about. So I know I'm going on rambling about this, and I did say earlier that it's we've been going all day about what works and what doesn't, but we're glad that, mask, proof of vaccinations, and also what other things they said, help a filtration system, and also the one thing they didn't mention in this article is social distancing. That's also important in a lot of cases, even if you wear a mask. So that is I think things that have worked so far. So let's hope they keep going, but as we move on, as we go into the spring and with the cases going down, let's hope that we can keep this going and eventually we won't have to worry about COVID again, or at least it can be a point to where it's manageable. Because I think at this point, COVID, the coronavirus in particular, though, it'll probably be here to stay. So, so let's keep going. Don't stop. Don't let our guard down and keep going. Keep getting masked and get your booster if you hadn't, because that also works. But that is it for those 2 news articles. Well, for the last one, I know we talked about Coachella and Pamu and then this. But our last story that I was going to talk about after the Coachella article. So we've talked about this quite a bit on our show about mandatory military enrollment for Korean male celebrities. And this one in particular, I think there was one I meant to mention in an episode. I think was mentioned during our break, but just to sum it up, this is not the story, but it kind of goes into this. But they changed the rule about maybe a few years ago that Korean males, especially if they're celebrities, they have to enroll before they hit 30, or rather at the age of 30. And they normally postpone it because of their status. Because, just they have so much on their plate and, they just want to delay it, but they can't delay it anymore. So before they hit the age, they have to go. And this was one of the cases with BTS in particular, but I don't think they found like any middle ground on that situation because BTS in particular, they're a group of cultural merit. I believe that's, I don't know if that rings a bell. So because of their status of basically promoting Korean culture outside of, around the world, then, that would exempt them from the group as a whole from enrolling in the military. But unfortunately, apparently, like I said, they haven't found anything yet. So this article that I'm about to read are 7 celebrities that absolutely had to enlist in 2022. There are 7 celebrities. And we already talked about the age limit and stuff. So we're going to talk about who is slated to enroll. And this is from Korea Boo. I'm going to try to see if... I'm only going to mention... For you all to see, I wanted to give credit to Karibu where it's due, so I'm gonna read just a few articles. Apparently, there's some actors in here, but I'm gonna read off 3. There's 7, but I'm gonna read out 3 just to give them credit. So biggest one, the first one is gonna be Jin from BTS, and he is the oldest member in the group, born in 1992. So it makes him 29 years old. Internationally. So, so apparently he's past his enlistment age, including the rest of his members, but because of the Hagwon older culture, he could postpone it until 30, which what we mentioned earlier, but he'll have to begin his service before December 2022, so who knows when that will be this year, so we'll find out soon enough. So the next one, in no particular order. This is in order, but the article is in order. But I'm going to go out of order just for the sake of this, since we're going to leave some for your own curiosity. So, EXO's Kai is next to enlist. He was born in 1994, so he's part of the what you would call the 94 line, and he recently turned 28 years old. So like the rest of his companions on the list, he'll be leaving soon to serve his military obligations. But apparently he's watched many of his hyungs leave and return from the military services. But apparently because of the other members having served in the army, he has an idea of what to expect when he enlists sometime this year. And the last person I'm going to mention in this article is going to be Ravi, who is, I guess, formerly a Fix or a Fix, depending how you see it, but he is a Fix. Reason I said formerly of because I think his contract is up with Starship Entertainment or Jellyfish, whatever the label that Fix is a part of. Yeah, I think his contract as an artist there is up, but apparently he's still allowed to perform group activities because Ravi does have his own record label, if I remember correctly. But anyway, Ravi was born in 93, and he will have turned 29. But, of course, similarly, due to his fellow 91 line friends, that were listed above, including, Jin wasn't born in 82, but, so he can't push back his enlistment any further, because his birthday is soon. Oh, no, actually, his birthday is on February 15th, so he had a birthday recently, so happy birthday, Ravi, but, yeah, he can't push it off any longer, so he will be as expected to enlist very soon, and, unfortunately, he has to do it, but, I had the honor of seeing Ravi. Actually, I had a high touch with Ravi when he performed in Atlanta a few years back. And the concert, it was an opportunity to see anyone of Fix because I missed out on seeing Fix back in 2012. Yes, I had a chance to see Fix in 2012 during their earlier days, the highlight of their debut days. But I missed out on it since I was a part, I couldn't afford it and also was on staff for Anime Blast Chattanooga that year, so I had to choose one or the other. So, yeah, I mean, it couldn't be helped, but I'm glad to get to see Ravi. So that's one part of Fix I got to see. So I'm really grateful to have seen him. But so those are 3 of the 7 people that will be enlisting in the military. And if you want to see the rest of the article, be sure to check out our show notes for the article that is on koreaboo.com for the rest of the list. And with that said, we are done with the episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to hear more, be sure to hit us up on our socials before the next episode. You can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and on Twitch and TikTok under @Centaku Media. Also, be sure to hit up our YouTube channel, which is Centaku Chan, and also be sure to hit up our Discord to chat with fellow fans such as yourself and yours truly on Discord, which is centakumedia.com/discord. And also be sure to join us on Twitch Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. Thursday and Friday nights we are playing our Centaku Media Play series, where it's currently Breath of the Wild. We are going to face the second Defined Beast. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to avoid spoilers, but we hopefully going to try to finish Ocarina of Time, but Breath of the Wild before March is out, so we can move on to our next game, which is Yakuza 0. And also Saturdays we'll have our Anything Goes game day, which is also mixed in with a retro game day with some Brave Fist from Musashi. So I hope you'll be able to check it out. But we don't stream at the end of the month, so during this week of recording we are not streaming, as we are putting more effort into making sure this episode goes smoothly for myself and for you all. So I hope you are having a good weekend. I hope you've had a good February, and I will see you all very soon wherever you see me. So until next time, so long.